The hum of fluorescent lights bathes the empty lobby in a sterile glow as Marcus adjusts the stiff collar of his janitorial uniform. His fingers linger on the scratchy fabric, a stark contrast to the tailored suits he usually wears. A security guard glances at his badge, snorts, and turns back to his crossword puzzle. Executives stream past, eyes glued to screens, leather briefcases swinging like pendulums of privilege. One man's shoulder slams into Marcus's arm. No apology, just a hissed move. Marcus crouches to retrieve a crumpled memo. Promotion list finalized. No diversity quotas met. The paper crackles in his grip. Nearby, a manager pauses mid-stride, phone pressed to her ear. "Reject the Thompson file," she barks. "He's culturally misaligned." The words hang like smoke, toxic, and routine. At the elevator, a young intern holds the door, her smile tentative. Marcus nods gratitude, but a VP grips her elbow, yanking her backward. "Priorities," he snaps. The doors close on her reddening face. Marcus's pen digs into his. Palm, crescent moons etched into skin. He pushes his cart past Linda's office. Her laughter spills into the hall, sharp and mocking. Feet propped on her desk, she flicks paper clips at a framed photo of last year's diversity workshop. The camera hidden in his mop bucket blinks a silent sentinel. A receptionist waves him over, lip curled. "Clean this," she orders, pointing to coffee grounds scattered near her desk. Marcus sweeps slowly, her stiletto tapping a derisive beat. The granules cling stubbornly. Resisting the broom's bristles of metaphor, he flies away. In the break room trash. A sticky note catches his eye. "Fire the janitor to observant." He pockets it, face impassive. Outside, dawn bleeds into the skyline. Marcus removes his cap, studies his reflection in the glass janitor and CEO superimposed to realities colliding. The camera blinks once more. Before the story continues, please let us know from where you are watching this video. Write your city or country in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit like if you believe in stories that challenge injustice. Your engagement gives power to voices that need to be heard. Linda stands at the end of the corridor, her posture rigid, arms folded tightly across her chest. She surveys the office with a gaze that sweeps over Marcus and lands on him with a hint of disdain. Her chin lifts, eyes narrowing, as if daring him to step out of line. She doesn't bother to lower her voice when she addresses him. "You're blocking the hallway? Move your cart now," she commands, her words clipped and cold. Marcus meets her stare, his expression unreadable. He nudges the cart aside, but doesn't shrink away. Linda's lips press into a thin line, her annoyance barely contained. She turns to a nearby manager, her tone softening only slightly. "Some people need constant supervision, don't they?" The manager glances at Marcus, then quickly looks away, shuffling a stack of folders as if searching for an escape. A junior analyst caught in the crossfire hesitates before passing. She offers Marcus a fleeting, apologetic glance, then scurries past, clutching her notebook to her chest. Linda's gaze follows the analyst, a subtle shake of her head signaling disapproval. "Standards are slipping," she mutters, loud enough for Marcus to hear. Marcus's hands tighten on the cart handle, knuckles whitening, but he remains silent. The tension hangs heavy, the power imbalance on full display. Linda's authority is asserted, not with shouts, but with posture, icy words, and the expectation of obedience. She turns on her heel, heels clicking in sharp rhythm, leaving a trail of unease in her wake as she disappears into her office. The atmosphere shifts. The staff resumes their routines, but the mood is brittle, every gesture a little more cautious. Marcus watches Linda's door swing shut, her presence lingering like a warning. He exhales slowly, filing away every detail: the folded arms, the raised chin, the calculated dismissal. The quiet collapse of dignity is a wound that festers, unseen but deeply felt. Marcus stands quietly in a corner, eyes sharp and unblinking. Around him, the office buzzes with routine, but his gaze captures every slight: the whispered jokes, the averted glances, the subtle dismissals. His camera, hidden in the mop bucket, records it all. A junior employee passes by, her smile forced, eyes flickering with unease. She lowers her voice to a whisper. This happens every day. Marcus's jaw tightens, but his face remains calm. He notes the weight of these moments, the invisible chains that bind in the break room. A group of executives chuckle quietly, mocking a colleague's accent. Marcus's eyes narrow, the camera blinking steadily. He watches a manager dismiss a black employee's idea with a curt nod and a distracted glance at his phone. The employee's shoulders slump, the room's energy shifting imperceptibly. Marcus's steady gaze contrasts with the oblivious arrogance around him. His silence is a quiet rebellion, a promise that these moments will not be forgotten. He moves through the office, each step measured, each observation a brick in the case he's building. The weight of recorded injustice presses down, but Marcus carries it with quiet strength. As he pauses by a window, the city skyline reflects in his eyes, a reminder of the world beyond these walls, waiting for change. The camera blinks once more, capturing the stillness before the storm. A receptionist's fingers twitch as she passes Marcus, her glance fleeting but loaded with unspoken judgment. Nearby, a senior executive adjusts his tie nervously, avoiding eye contact as if the weight of unseen scrutiny bears down on him. Marcus's breath is steady, his presence a silent challenge to the office's unspoken rules. Each recorded moment is a thread unraveling the fabric of complacency. He pauses near a water cooler, watching a whispered conversation dissolve as he approaches. The tension in the room thickens, the air heavy with the unacknowledged truths that hang just beneath the surface. His eyes meet those of a young intern whose hesitant nod speaks volumes. Quiet solidarity in a world that often turns away. The office clock ticks loudly, marking time in a place. Linda stands at the edge of the corridor, arms crossed, eyes cold. She watches Marcus as he wipes down a glass panel, her stare lingering longer than necessary. The hallway is thick with tension, every movement loaded with meaning. She steps closer, her voice low but sharp. "People like you should know their place," she says, each word deliberate, meant to wound. Marcus pauses, cloth in hand, and turns to face her fully. His eyes meet hers, unwavering. The air between them is heavy, the office suddenly quieter, as if waiting. He doesn't raise his voice. "You'd be surprised where some of us belong," he replies, tone calm, each syllable steady. A nearby analyst, frozen in place, glances nervously between them, her hand trembling slightly as she clutches her phone. Linda's lips tighten, a flicker of uncertainty passing across her face. She looks away, jaw clenched, but the power dynamic has shifted her authority. For a moment, exposed as brittle dot, Marcus returns to his task, but the energy in the hallway has changed. A senior manager who overheard the exchange clears his throat and steps aside, suddenly aware of the scrutiny. The staff nearby exchange glances, the quiet realization spreading that something fundamental has shifted. Linda turns on her heel, her steps brisk, but her posture less certain. The analyst lets out a shaky breath, her eyes following Marcus with a new respect. Even the receptionist, usually quick to dismiss, pauses before speaking, her voice softer than before. Marcus finishes cleaning the glass, his reflection clear and unbroken. He stands a little taller, the sting of Linda's words replaced by a sense of resolve. The hallway, once a place of quiet oppression, now feels charged with possibility. The confrontation, brief but sharp, leaves a mark, one that will not fade easily. Marcus pushes the mop slowly across the polished marble, his movements deliberate, every pass of the mop a quiet act of defiance. The cart's wheels move softly along the edge of the hallway, and his eyes flick to the small camera nestled among cleaning supplies, its red light steady and unblinking. A subtle smile tugs at the corner of his mouth, not triumphant, but resolute. A signal to himself that every slight, every whispered insult has been captured and will not be buried. He pauses, hand resting lightly on the mop handle, absorbing the weight of the moments recorded, the glances that dismissed him, the laughter that never included him, the words that stung but were never meant for him to hear. Each frame is a record of the quiet cruelty baked into the office's daily routine, a ledger of wounds that have gone unspoken for too long. A junior assistant passes by, her gaze meeting Marcus's for a brief moment. There's a flicker of understanding, a silent nod, exchanged an unspoken alliance in a place where most look away. The receptionist's shoes tap sharply as she approaches, her eyes narrowing when she catches the camera's glow. She pauses, uncertainty flickering across her face, then turns and walks away, the warning clear in her posture. Marcus resumes his work, the mop's rhythm steady, each movement a countdown to the change he knows is coming. His smile deepens, a quiet promise that the truth will no longer be hidden behind polished surfaces or practiced indifference. He rounds the corner, the camera blinking once more, capturing the last image before the storm breaks. Every detail is preserved. Every detail is preserved. Injustice documented, ready to be revealed when the time is right. Marcus adjusts his janitorial uniform, the fabric stiff and unfamiliar against his skin. The morning rush swirls around him, executives in crisp suits, their eyes fixed on glowing screens, their steps brisk and dismissive. He moves quietly, a shadow among the privileged, unnoticed and unacknowledged. A crumpled note lies near a trash bin, promotion list finalized. No diversity quotas met. Marcus picks it up, the words sinking like stones. Nearby, a manager's sharp voice cuts through the hum. Reject the Thompson file. He's culturally misaligned. The phrase hangs heavy, a whispered verdict. At the elevator, a young intern holds the door, offering a brief smile. Marcus nods in thanks, but a VP's hand snaps out, pulling her back. Focus, he snaps, his tone sharp and dismissive. The doors close, leaving her flushed and silent. Mop wheels squeak softly as he passes Linda's office. Laughter spills out sharp, mocking. She flicks paper clips at a framed photo of last year's diversity workshop, her eyes gleaming with disdain. The camera hidden in Marcus's cart blinks steadily, recording every moment. A receptionist gestures toward a spill near her desk, lips curled in a smirk. Marcus sweeps slowly, her stiletto heels tapping a mocking rhythm on the floor. The granules resist, clinging stubbornly, a quiet metaphor for the resistance he faces in the break room trash. A sticky note catches his eye. Fire the janitor to observant, he pockets it without a flicker of emotion. Outside, dawn breaks. Over the city skyline, Marcus removes his cap, catching his reflection in the glass. Janitor and CEO, two worlds colliding. The weight of each moment presses down, yet he carries it with quiet strength. Every detail is etched into memory, a ledger of unspoken truths. His resolve hardens with every step, the path ahead cleared despite the shadows. The office hums around him, unaware of the storm gathering beneath the surface. Each recorded slight is a thread unraveling the fabric of complacency. The weight of the day settles on his shoulders, but his face remains calm, a quiet promise of change. Marcus wheels his cart along the hallway, pausing as a manager approaches, eyes fixed on a glowing phone. Marcus offers a polite nod, a simple gesture of acknowledgement. The manager's gaze never lifts, his stride unbroken, as if Marcus is a little more than a shadow on the wall. The moment is brief, but the sting lingers. A junior analyst, arms full of reports, hesitates nearby. She glances at Marcus, her lips parting as if to greet him, but the manager's presence silences her. She looks down, shuffles her papers, and slips past without a word. Marcus notes the exchange, the smallness of it, the way exclusion seeps into the cracks of daily life. A group of executives rounds the corner, their laughter echoing. One of them bumps Marcus's cart, barely glancing his way. "Watch where you're going," he mutters, annoyance sharp in his tone. Marcus steps aside, his expression unchanged. But his grip tightens on the cart's handle. The receptionist at the end of the hall watches the scene, her eyes flickering between Marcus and the manager. She taps her nails on the desk, the rhythm quick and uneasy. For a moment, she seems about to say something, but the manager's return silences her. She busies herself with a stack of envelopes, her posture stiff. Marcus continues down the hallway, the weight of the snub settling in his chest. Each overlooked greeting, each averted glance, is a quiet reminder of the hierarchy at play. The camera in his cart records it all. The footage a silent witness to the daily erosion of dignity. He passes a window, the city skyline reflected in the glass. Marcus's face is calm, but his eyes are sharp, cataloging every slight. The office hums with activity, but the undercurrent of exclusion is unmistakable. He pushes forward, each step a quiet act of resistance, every ignored greeting Fueling his resolve for what's to come, the break room is filled with the clatter of mugs and the low buzz of conversation. Marcus stands near the counter, wiping a spill blending into the background. An older janitor, stooped and weary, shuffles over with a tray of empty cups. He glances around, making sure no one is listening too closely, then leans in, voice barely above a murmur. "You know they'll never really see us, not unless we mess up." His hands tremble slightly as he sets the cups down. Marcus nods, his expression steady. "You've been here a long time," he asks quietly. The older man's eyes flick to the door. "Too long. Seen good people come and go. Doesn't matter how hard you work, you're always just here. Not part of them." He shrugs, a gesture heavy with resignation. This always happens. Across the room, a group of executives laugh about weekend plans, their voices rising above the hum. One glances over, sees Marcus and the older janitor talking, and nudges his colleague. The laughter dims, replaced by a quick, dismissive glance. The group turns their backs, closing the circle. A young woman from accounting pours herself coffee, hesitates, then offers Marcus a small, sympathetic smile. Before she can say anything, her supervisor calls her name, sharp and impatient. She hurries away, leaving her coffee half-dash poured. Marcus wipes the counter, the cloth moving in slow, deliberate circles. The older janitor sighs, shoulders sagging. "You learn to keep your head down, safer that way." He gathers his tray, giving Marcus a look that's both warning and apology. Marcus watches him go, the words echoing in his mind. Returns to its usual rhythm, but the undercurrent of exclusion is stronger than ever. Marcus files the moment away. Another thread in the tapestry of injustice he's quietly collecting. The routine continues, but something in the air feels heavier. The weight of unspoken truths pressing down on everyone in the room. Marcus enters the break room just as a burst of laughter erupts from a cluster of executives gathered near the fridge. Their voices are loud, careless. One of them, a senior director with a reputation for offhand remarks, leans in and mimics a colleague's accent, twisting the words into a caricature. The others double over, slapping the table, their amusement, sharp and echoing. A junior staffer stands at the edge of the group, her smile faltering. She glances at Marcus, then at the floor, her cheeks flushed with discomfort. The director catches her hesitation and waves her off. "Lighten up, it's just a joke," he says, his tone dismissive. She forces a laugh, but her eyes never meet. His dot, Marcus grips, the mop handle tighter, knuckles paling. He moves to the counter, wiping down crumbs, but every word lands heavy. The director's voice rises again, louder this time, as he launches into another imitation, this one even crueler. The laughter grows, filling the small space with a kind of giddy malice. A young accountant, pouring coffee nearby, stirs her cup with shaking hands. She glances at Marcus, her gaze apologetic, but says nothing. The executives don't notice her discomfort, too wrapped up in their own amusement. One of them wipes tears from his eyes, gasping, "You should do stand-up." Marcus finishes cleaning, his movements precise, face expressionless. The camera in his cart blinks, recording every second. He catches the eye of the junior staffer again. She offers a small, grateful nod before slipping out of the room. As the laughter fades, the break room feels colder, the air tinged with something sour. The executives scatter, still chuckling, oblivious to the damage left behind. Marcus stands, alone for a moment, the weight of what he's witnessed settling deep in his chest. He files the moment away, another piece of evidence in a growing archive of injustice. Marcus empties a trash bin in the quiet hallway, sorting through discarded papers and half-eaten lunches. His hand pauses on a folded letter, edges worn, ink smudged from hurried writing. Curiosity piqued, he smooths the page and reads the opening line. "I can't breathe here." The words are raw, desperate. He scans the letter, each sentence, painting a picture of daily humiliation, missed promotions, ideas dismissed, laughter that stops when she enters the room. The writer, a young black intern, details how she was praised in private but sidelined in meetings, her suggestions credited to others. "Every day, I shrink a little more," she wrote. "I thought I could change things. I was wrong." A maintenance worker passes by, glancing at Marcus with a tired nod. He doesn't stop, but the look in his eyes says he's seen letters like this before. The hallway feels colder, the fluorescent lights harsher. Marcus folds the letter carefully, slipping it into his pocket. He moves to the janitor's closet. The letter heavy in his hand, the words echo in his mind, each line a reminder of the cost of silence. He tacks the letter to a corkboard hidden behind cleaning supplies. Joining other notes each, a story of someone pushed out, overlooked, or broken by the system. A junior IT specialist enters, searching for paper towels. She notices the letter on the board, lips pressing into a thin line. "Another one?" she asks, softly. Marcus nods, his expression grave. She lingers for a moment, reading the words, before offering a quiet thanks for not throwing it away. Marcus returns to his rounds, the weight of the letter pressing against his chest. Every step feels heavier, but his resolve hardens. The office hums with activity, oblivious to the pain woven into its walls. The letter is proof ink-stained, undeniable that the harm here is real, and it's not going away on its own. Marcus stands near the conference room entrance, mop bucket quietly humming beside him. A black employee approaches a senior VP, extending a hand with cautious hope. The VP's eyes flicker briefly, then slide away, his hand remaining firmly. At his side, the employee's smile tightens, a flicker of hurt masked by professionalism. Marcus's hidden camera zooms in, capturing the subtle rejection, the slight recoil, the averted gaze. The room's energy shifts imperceptibly. A silent indictment of performative gestures and empty allyship nearby, a junior assistant watches, her fingers nervously tapping a pen. She glances at Marcus, then at the VP, her eyes wide with unspoken questions. The VP clears his throat, adjusting his tie, avoiding the growing tension. Marcus's breath is steady, his face calm but resolute. He notes the weight of this small moment, the quiet exclusion that speaks volumes. The employee lowers his hand slowly, the smile fading into a shadow of disappointment. In the background, a manager passes by, casting a furtive glance at the scene before quickly looking away. The receptionist heels click sharply as she approaches, her eyes narrowing briefly at Marcus's mop bucket camera. She pauses, then moves on, the warning clear. Marcus resumes his work, mop gliding over the polished floor, each stroke a quiet act of defiance. The camera blinks steadily, preserving the moment for the reckoning to come. The employee steps away, shoulders squared but burdened. Marcus watches the weight of systemic barriers pressing down, yet his resolve remains unbroken. The office hums. Around them, unaware of the quiet revolution unfolding in its midst. The camera blinks once more, capturing the stillness after the storm. Marcus shelves a stack of cleaning supplies in the storage room, his eyes drawn to a thick binder labeled Cultural Fit Guidelines. Phrases leap out at him: avoid urban accents, maintain professional aesthetics, project confidence, but not assertiveness. Each line is a code, a barrier dressed as advice. He reads further, noting the subtle instructions. B. Mindful of attire, no bold colors, keep hairstyles traditional. The language is careful, but the intent is clear. Marcus's jaw sets, his grip tightening on the binder. This isn't guidance, it's exclusion, written in corporate jargon. A young HR assistant enters, searching for printer paper. She glances at the binder in Marcus's hands, her brows knitting together. "That thing again," she mutters, voice low. "They say it's just to keep things professional," but her words trail off, replaced by a heavy pause. She shrugs, offering a look of apology before slipping out. Marcus turns another page. A section on team integration lists subtle communication and avoiding confrontation as must. The message is unmistakable. Blend in, don't challenge, erase what makes you different. He snaps a photo of the most damning page. The cameras click, muffled by the thick paper. A maintenance worker pokes his head in, nodding at Marcus. "You find anything useful in there?" he asks, half joking. Marcus closes the binder, tucking it under his arm. "Just the usual," he replies, keeping his tone neutral. He leaves the storage room, binder pressed to his side, the weight of its contents settling in his chest. The office resumes its rhythm, but Marcus walks with new purpose. Each coded phrase, each veiled instruction, is another piece of evidence fuel for the change he's determined to ignite. The binder's spine creaks as he places it back on the shelf. But the words inside are unforgettable, etched into memory and ready. For the day, they'll be brought to light. Marcus waits by the copy machine, sorting through a stack of discarded papers. A single printout, left behind and half crumpled, catches his eye. The subject line reads, "Candidate review, not leadership material." He smooths the page, reading the manager's notes. "She's too aggressive for the VP. I need to tone it down, not the right image." He glances up as the woman in question walks past, her steps brisk, shoulders squared. She doesn't see the email, but the weight of its judgment seems to follow her. Marcus watches as she pauses at her desk, glancing toward a group of managers clustered in quiet conversation. Their voices drop when she approaches. She sits back straight, hands folded tightly in her lap, jaw set in determination. A junior analyst at the next cubicle notices Marcus reading the email. She leans over, voice barely above a whisper. They say that about every woman who speaks up, especially women like her. Her eyes flick to the woman at her desk, then back to Marcus, a silent plea for understanding. Marcus folds the email, slipping it into his pocket. The office hums with the usual activity, but the air feels charged. Every interaction tinged with the knowledge of what's written behind closed doors. He moves past a manager who glances at him, then at the bulge in his pocket, suspicion flickering. Across his face, at the end of the row, the woman straightens a stack of reports, her movements precise. She glances up, meeting Marcus's gaze for a moment. There's a question in her eyes, but she turns away before he can answer it. Marcus continues his rounds, the email pressing against his side, a reminder of the barriers that remain unseen but deeply felt. Each word on the page is a scar, invisible but lasting. He files it away, another piece of the puzzle, another story, waiting for the right moment to be revealed. Marcus watches the screen glow as #BrokenAtBrimstone trends worldwide. A Latina former employee's tweet flashes across the feed, screenshots of erased contributions and whispered firings. The office buzzes with tension. Executives exchange uneasy glances, their facades cracking under the weight of exposure. In a corner, a young analyst scrolls through the viral posts, her fingers trembling. She whispers to a colleague, "They can't hide this anymore." The colleague nods, eyes wide with a mix of fear and hope. Marcus leans against a desk, calm, but alert. The camera in his cart blinks steadily, capturing every reaction. The forced smiles, the quick glances, the silent admissions. A senior manager's jaw tightens as he watches the growing storm. Outside, news alerts ping on phones, the story spreading beyond the office walls. A janitor pauses, wiping sweat from his brow, eyes reflecting the shifting tide. Marcus's gaze meets his, a silent acknowledgement of the battle ahead. The digital flood continues, hashtags multiplying, voices rising. The company's veneer of control crumbles, replaced by a collective demand for justice. Marcus's quiet strength anchors the chaos, a beacon for those who have long been silenced. He straightens the weight of the moment, settling on his shoulders. The fight is far from over, but the first cracks have appeared. The camera blinks once more, preserving the moment before the reckoning. The office feels heavier now as the storm gathers and voices grow louder. A group of employees exchange glances filled with new hope and fear. Marcus watches them quietly from the shadows, his resolve hardening. The camera blinks again, capturing the moment before the storm breaks. The tension in the room thickens, the air charged with anticipation. A junior assistant bites her lip, eyes darting nervously. The CEO's calm presence contrasts sharply with the growing unease. Outside, the city's pulse quickens, the story spreading like wildfire. The weight of truth presses down, but so does the promise of change. Marcus's quiet strength is a beacon, a steady flame in the gathering storm. The camera blinks once, more, capturing the fragile moment before the reckoning. Marcus stands in the dim glow of the janitor's closet, surrounded by a patchwork of folded notes pinned to the corkboard behind him. Each scrap of paper carries a story pain, resilience, a plea for dignity. He reads them in silence. They called me feisty when I spoke up. My ideas were taken and claimed by others. I feared speaking out would cost me everything. His fingers linger on the edge of a letter from a former black employee. The ink faded, but the pain fresh. The weight of these voices settles on his shoulders, a tapestry of truth woven from shadows and survival. He folds the letter carefully. Jaw set, eyes hard with resolve. The quiet in the room is thick, heavy with all that's gone unspoken for years. A young assistant appears at the doorway, her face pale with worry. "Dr. Ellington, people are starting to talk," she whispers, glancing nervously over her shoulder. Marcus nods, his gaze steady. The promise clear in his eyes, these stories will not be buried any longer. He turns to a shelf and pulls down a battered notebook. Its pages filled with more testimony stories of exclusion, of hope, of small acts of courage. Each line fuels his determination. A janitor passes by the open door, catching Marcus's eye. They share a look, a silent agreement that the time for hiding is over. The quiet strength of those who've endured is gathering, ready to break the surface. The camera lingers on the board, on the notes and the notebook. A testament to the power of truth emerging from the margins. As Marcus steps out, closing the door behind him, the room is left heavy with the voices that will soon be heard. The city outside moves on, unaware, but inside these walls, the first sparks of change are catching. The camera blinks once more, capturing the stillness before the storm. Marcus sits at a cluttered desk in the janitor's break room, laptop open, fingers moving with steady purpose. He types out a meeting invitation. The subject line simple but loaded, urgent, executive accountability session. He scans the list of recipients, executives, board members, a handful of journalists. Each name is a reminder of the system he's about to confront. He copies the Zoom link, pastes it into the message, and hesitates for a moment. The cursor blinks, the only sign of uncertainty. Marcus breathes deeply, then clicks send. The invitation flies out, a digital summons that will change everything. He leans back, watching the screen as the calendar notifications begin to pop up one after another. A countdown to reckoning. A maintenance worker enters, glancing at Marcus's screen. "Big meeting?" he asks, half joking, half curious. Marcus offers a small, knowing smile. "You could say that." The worker shrugs, grabs his lunch, and leaves. Unaware of the storm about to break, in the boardroom upstairs, executives receive the invite. Confusion ripples through the ranks. Some frown at their screens, others exchange uneasy glances. Linda the Coup narrows her eyes, suspicion flickering across her face. She taps out a terse message to the CEO, but Marcus is already several steps ahead. A junior board member, new to the table, reads the invitation and swallows hard. She senses the shift in the air, the tension that follows a secret to long kept. Across the city, a journalist's phone buzzes. He reads the invite, eyebrows arching in surprise, and starts to gather his notes. Marcus adjusts his tie in the reflection of a dusty window. The image split between janitor and leader. The moment is loaded, the future uncertain, but the decision is made so truth will be confronted, and the board will have no place to hide. The timer on his screen ticks down, each second bringing the reckoning closer. The building hums with anticipation, the old order teetering on the edge of collapse. Marcus pushes his mop bucket down the quiet corridor, the wheels squeaking softly against the polished floor. The hum of the office fades into a distant murmur. As he approaches Linda's door, her sharp laughter cuts through the stillness, a reminder of the arrogance he's come to know too well. He pauses, fingers brushing the hidden camera nestled among cleaning supplies on his cart. The red light blinks steadily, a silent witness to every slight, every whispered insult. Marcus's jaw tightens, his eyes narrowing with resolve. This is the calm before the reckoning. The mop's rhythm slows as he moves past the door, step measured, deliberate. The weight of the evidence he's gathered presses down, but his face remains composed, a mask of quiet strength. He knows the storm is coming, and he's ready. A junior assistant passes by, her gaze flickering to the cart, then away. There's a flicker of understanding in her eyes, a silent alliance in a place where most look away. The receptionist's heels click sharply as she approaches, her eyes narrowing briefly at the camera's glow before she turns and walks away. The warning clear. Marcus rounds the corner, the mop bucket's wheels squeaking a soft, steady Beta funeral march for the old guard. The office hums with oblivious routine, unaware of the quiet revolution gathering momentum. The camera blinks once more, capturing the last image before the storm breaks. Every detail preserved, every injustice documented, ready to be revealed. When the time is right, he recalls the countless moments etched into his memory, the dismissive glances, the hushed conversations, the invisible barriers that have long held sway. Each step forward is a testament to resilience, a quiet defiance against a system built on exclusion. The janitor's uniform may hide his identity, but it cannot mask the fire burning within. Marcus's eyes scan the hallway, taking in the faces of those who have yet to see the truth, those who will soon be forced to reckon with it. A soft sigh escapes him, a breath held for too long. The weight of responsibility settles heavily, but his resolve remains unshaken. The Zoom grid lights up with confused executives. Marcus's face fills the screen. Janitor's uniform replaced by a sharp suit, CEO nameplate gleaming. Linda's coffee cup slips, scalding her hand. The room freezes, their arrogance crumbling as they realize the man they mocked now holds their fate. Linda's eyes widen, a flicker of panic crossing her features. She tries to compose herself, but her fingers tremble as she reaches for her notes. The usual confident smirk is gone, replaced by a tight, forced smile. A junior executive shifts uncomfortably, avoiding eye contact. His foot taps nervously, a subtle sign of the power shift. The camera lingers on his face, capturing the moment. His facade begins to crack. Marcus's voice is calm, but carries an undeniable weight. "Good morning. I'm sure you didn't expect to see me like this." The room remains silent, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. Linda clears her throat, attempting to regain control. "Marcus, this isn't the time or place for theatrics." He raises a hand, stopping her mid-sentence. "No theatrics, just truth." The camera pans across the faces of the executives, each one grappling with the reality of exposure. The arrogance that once filled the room is replaced by a heavy, unspoken fear. Marcus's eyes scan the grid, locking briefly with Linda's. "You thought you could keep this hidden, but the truth has a way of finding light." A senior board member exhales sharply, the sound echoing in the quiet room. The weight of accountability settles over the group like a shroud. The screen flickers again, the moment hanging suspended as the executives realize the reckoning has begun. Linda's hand trembles. As she reaches for her coffee, the cup now cold and forgotten, the room's atmosphere thickens, the executive's eyes darting nervously between screens and each other. A young assistant bites her lip, her fingers fidgeting with a pen, the tension palpable. Marcus's gaze remains steady, unwavering. "It isn't just about me. It's about every voice you've tried to silence." A middle-aged executive swallows hard, his usual bravado replaced by a tight jaw and clenched fists. The camera catches a subtle twitch in his eye, a crack in the armor of denial. Linda's voice falters. "Marcus, please." He cuts her off gently but firmly. No interruptions. It's time to face the consequences. The screen flickers once more, the digital room holding its breath. Outside, the city moves unaware, but inside, a storm brews quiet, relentless, and unstoppable. Marcus sits upright, his reflection crisp against the glass of his office. The Zoom grid is a mosaic of anxious faces. He lets the pause stretch, the weight of anticipation growing with every second. Linda's lips part as if to speak, but he lifts a finger, commanding the room with a simple gesture. "You built this system now. Watch it bury you." His words land with the force of a verdict. The executives shift in their seats, discomfort rippling through the grid. A senior manager's jaw clenches, his knuckles whitening as he grips the edge of his desk. A junior board member lowers her gaze, cheeks flushed. Unable to meet Marcus's eyes, Linda's forced smile falters, her posture stiffening. "This is a misunderstanding, Marcus. You're overreacting." He shakes his head slowly. "No, this is reality. For years, you've made excuses, buried complaints, and promoted each other while shutting others out. Today, there are no more closed doors." A director tries to interject, his voice shaky. "We followed the usual process." Marcus interrupts, tone even. "Your process was exclusion. Your routine was erased. I have the receipts, and so does everyone watching." The digital room grows tense. A young analyst's hand trembles. As she types a message to a colleague, he's right. "We all saw it." The board's legal counsel clears his throat, but says nothing, his eyes darting nervously. Linda straightens, trying to regain control. Let's not make this personal. Marcus' gaze hardens. It was always personal for every person you overlooked, every idea you dismissed, every career you stalled. The difference now is everyone can see it. A heavy hush falls over the call. The hierarchy that once ruled this space is fracturing, the power dynamic shifting with every word. Marcus's calm is unshakable, his authority undeniable. He leans forward, voice steady. This is your reckoning, and it's only just begun. The screen flickers, the foundation beneath the old guard beginning to crack. The video clip flickers to life on the Zoom screen, showing a group of executives gathered in a glass-walled conference room. Laughter bubbles up, sharp and careless. As one senior director leans forward, mimicking a black employee's accent with exaggerated inflections. The room echoes with cruel amusement, the sound bouncing off sterile walls. Marcus watches from the digital grid, his expression unreadable. But eyes narrowing, the camera in his cart blinks steadily, capturing every second of the mockery. A junior staffer stands at the edge of the group, her smile forced and eyes darting nervously. She glances at Marcus, then quickly looks away, cheeks flushed with discomfort. The director's voice rises louder and more biting as he launches into another imitation, twisting words into a caricature. The laughter swells, filling the space with a kind of giddy malice. Nearby, a young accountant stirs her coffee with trembling hands, her gaze flickering toward Marcus. Silent but pleading. A middle-aged manager leans against the wall, arms crossed, his jaw clenched tightly. He watches the scene with a tight-lipped frown, the weight of complicity heavy on his shoulders. His eyes flicker to the door, as if debating whether to intervene or stay silent. A receptionist stands nearby, her fingers tapping a rapid rhythm on the counter. Her eyes narrow as she watches the group, a subtle shake of her head betraying her disapproval. She glances at Marcus, then away, caught between duty and discomfort. The room's energy shifts subtly as the laughter fades, replaced by a heavy pause. The executives exchange uneasy glances, the weight of their actions settling in. A junior analyst bites her lip, her fingers nervously twisting a pen. The tension thickens, the air heavy with unspoken truths. Marcus's gaze lingers on the screen, the quiet in the Zoom room heavy with unspoken judgment. The executives' facades crack, their arrogance exposed in high definition. The camera blinks, once more, preserving the moment for the reckoning to come. Marcus clicks to the next screen share, and a cascade of emails fills the display. The words are blunt, impossible to ignore, too urban for our image. Not leadership material, she's too aggressive, won't fit the team. The digital silence is suffocating as each message scrolls past, exposing the machinery of exclusion. A senior manager's face drains of color as his own words appear on the screen. He shifts in his seat, fingers drumming a frantic rhythm on the desk. Linda's hands, usually steady, now tremble as she clutches a pen, the cap snapping open and closed in her grasp. The board's legal counsel glances away, jaw clenched. Eyes fixed on a distant point beyond the camera. A junior executive tags furiously in the chat. But Marcus ignores the distraction, letting the evidence speak for itself. The messages continue. Keep the team comfortable. Let's avoid unnecessary attention. Each line is a nail in the coffin of plausible deniability. A young analyst watching from a muted square covers her mouth with her hand, eyes wide in disbelief. The office's unspoken rules are now written in black and white, projected for all to see. Linda tries to break the tension, her voice brittle. These are just standard hiring practices, nothing out of the ordinary. Marcus's reply is calm, unwavering, ordinary for whom exclusion isn't an accident. It's a decision made over and over again. The emails keep coming, the parade of bias relentless. A director's shoulders slump as his own comments appear, the weight of exposure. Pressing down, the room's energy shifts again, the old confidence replaced by a creeping sense of accountability. The last message lingers on the screen, its meaning unmistakable. Marcus lets the moment stretch, the evidence hanging heavy in the air. The hierarchy has been laid bare, and there is no turning away. The next video clip begins, looping a moment that should have been routine, but instead reveals everything. A black employee stands at the edge of a boardroom table, hand outstretched in greeting. The VP glances at the hand, hesitates, then turns away, pretending to check his phone. The employee's smile falters, replaced by a flicker of embarrassment. The room's conversation stutters, a few staffers exchanging uneasy glances before quickly looking elsewhere. On Zoom, the VP's jaw tightens as he watches himself on screen. His eyes dart to the chat, searching for a distraction or an ally, but finds none. The employee, now watching live, sends a message. "That's me." The words appear in the group chat, and the reaction is immediate: a wave of discomfort. A ripple of realization. A junior analyst covers her mouth, stunned. A mid-level manager shifts in his chair, suddenly aware of the cameras and the eyes upon him. The receptionist, visible in a small window, looks away, her cheeks flushed with secondhand shame. Marcus's voice is measured. Small gestures reveal the biggest truths. Respect isn't selective. His words hang in the air, undeniable. The VP tries to speak, but his voice cracks. It wasn't intentional. He stops, realizing the futility of the excuse as the moment replays again. The refusal clear, the impact undeniable. The chat explodes with reactions. "That's unacceptable." "I saw that happen before." "This is why people leave." The digital chorus grows, amplifying the moment beyond the confines of the boardroom. The employee's message lingers on the screen, a quiet testament to the pain of being dismissed. The camera captures the VP shrinking posture, his authority dissolving in real time. Marcus lets the clip loop once more, the power dynamic shifting with every repetition. The office, once a fortress of unspoken rules, is now exposed to every gesture, every slight, laid bare for all to see. The chat notifications ping sharply, each message a digital hammer striking down the old guard. A board member's text flashes. Read, "Linda Crane is relieved of duty, effective immediately." The words hang heavy. A verdict delivered without ceremony. Linda's fingers tremble as she stares at the screen. The authority she wielded dissolving into pixels. Her breath catches a tight swallow, betraying the calm she tries to maintain. Around her, the virtual room shifts. Executives exchange uneasy glances, their facades cracking under the weight of exposure. Marcus sits back, his expression unreadable but resolute. He sips water slowly, the calm in the storm. The camera captures every flicker of doubt, every faltering smile, every silent admission of guilt. A junior analyst watches the chat, her eyes wide with disbelief. She types a quick message. "It's happening." The words ripple through the group, a wave of quiet satisfaction and mounting tension. The screen shows a flurry of activity: more terminations, resignations, and stunned silence. The old order crumbles pixel by pixel as the digital reckoning unfolds. Linda's gaze drops to her hands. Clenched tightly in her lap, the room's energy shifts, the balance of power tipping irrevocably. Marcus's steady presence anchors the chaos, a beacon of quiet justice. The meeting continues, but the tone has changed. The executives are no longer in control. The reckoning is real, and it is just beginning. The screen fades to black, the echo of the digital gavel lingering in the air. A second screen fills with a cascade of social media posts. The hashtag fire them all, flashing again and again. Tweets, videos, and furious comments pour in. The outside world now fully awake to the reckoning inside the boardroom. An executive's daughter posts, "Dad, is this you?" The question hangs unanswered as his face pales on camera. A junior staffer retweets a clip of the VP's withheld handshake, adding, "This is why we never speak up." The post goes viral in minutes, the story spreading far beyond the company's walls. In the Zoom chat, employees share links, screenshots, and their own story's message, a stone thrown at the crumbling facade. Marcus watches the digital flood with steady eyes. He says little, letting the world's judgment speak louder than any speech. Executives glance nervously at their phones, the storm of public outrage reflected in their anxious expressions. A mid-level manager tries to type a defense, but his words are drowned in a sea of angry replies. The company's official account posts a statement, but it's quickly ratioed by thousands demanding real change. The board's legal counsel shakes, his head realizing control has slipped away. The old power structure, once untouchable, is now at the mercy of collective truth. In a small window, a young analyst wipes away tears, relief, vindication, and fear mingling on her face. The digital chorus grows, amplifying every injustice, every slight, every moment of exclusion. The reckoning is no longer private. It is everywhere, unstoppable. Marcus remains silent, his presence a reminder that justice can be quiet but unyielding. The hashtag continues to trend, a banner for a new era. The executives, once secure in their positions, now face a world that will not look away. The camera lingers on the scrolling feed, the relentless tide of accountability washing over the company, leaving nothing hidden. Linda leans forward, desperation etched across her face. "You're twisting everything." Her words cut off abruptly as Marcus's calm and unflinching clicks the mute button from his end. Her mouth moves soundlessly, pleading with the screen, but no one can hear her. The executives watch, some in shock, others with a grim sense of satisfaction. A senior manager shifts in his seat, eyes fixed on the digital mute icon, the final symbol of Linda's lost authority. A junior analyst glances at her phone, then at the screen, her lips pressed together in a thin line. She types quietly. She's finally being held accountable. Linda's hands flutter helplessly, searching for control that's no longer hers. The chat fills with messages, some supportive, most damning. "She never listened before," one employee writes. "Now she knows what it feels like." The words echo in the digital void, a chorus of voices that were once ignored. Marcus's gaze remains steady, his finger resting on the mute control. He lets the moment linger, the power shift undeniable. Linda's face flushes, her eyes darting from square to square, searching for an ally. None appear. The board's legal counsel looks away, unwilling to intervene. A young staffer, watching from home, whispers to herself, "It's over." The atmosphere in the virtual room is thick with the weight of justice, delivered not with shouting, but with the quiet removal of a voice that once dominated the space. Linda slumps back in her chair, defeated. The executives sit in uneasy silence, the hierarchy shattered. Marcus's calm presence fills the void, a reminder that sometimes the most powerful statement is refusing to let another's voice drown out the truth. The meeting continues, but the tone has changed forever. The muted mic glows on the screen, a final, silent verdict. The final video loads, filling the screen with grainy footage from the janitor's cart. Marcus, in uniform, moves through the office collecting trash, wiping tables, blending into the background. The camera captures every overlooked greeting, every dismissive gesture, every moment when he's passed by as if invisible. Executives watch themselves on playback, a manager brushing past without acknowledgement, a director tossing a report into Marcus's cart without a word, a group of colleagues laughing as he sweeps around their feet. The footage is damning in its ordinariness, each small, slight building into an undeniable pattern. A junior analyst covers her mouth, recognizing herself in the background, her own hurried steps and averted eyes. The receptionist's face pales. As she sees a clip of herself waving Marcus away, too busy to notice the person behind the uniform, a senior manager leans forward, elbows on the table, the reality of their actions settling in. Marcus's voice, steady and low, narrates over. "The images? You saw what you wanted to see. You heard what you chose to hear. But the truth was always here, in every hallway, every meeting, every passing glance." On Zoom, the executives sit in silence, their faces reflected in the glow of the screen. The camera catches a tear slipping down the cheek of a mid-level supervisor, her regret plain. A young assistant types in the chat, "I never realized. I'm sorry." The footage ends with Marcus pausing, looking directly into the hidden lens. For a moment, the office behind him is still, the weight of what's been revealed pressing down on everyone watching. The camera blinks one last time, the evidence preserved. The digital room is quiet, the power dynamic reversed. The faces on screen are changed, the truth no longer hidden. Marcus meets their gaze, calm and resolute, the reckoning complete. Zoom call quiets as Marcus's final words hang in the air. "From now on, we do better." The grid empties one by one, faces fading into darkness. Linda remains alone, her expression a mix of disbelief and defeat. Illuminated by the cold glow of the screen, her hands tremble slightly as she lowers her gaze, the weight of accountability pressing down. The room that once echoed with her commands now feels vast and empty. a digital void where power has slipped through her fingers. The silence is thick, broken only by the soft hum of the computer. Marcus's reflection appears in a dark monitor behind her, a silent reminder of the duel. He's led the janitor who witnessed the truth and the CEO who delivered justice without raising his voice. The camera lingers on his calm face, steady and resolute, a beacon of quiet strength. Outside, the city moves on, unaware of the quiet revolution unfolding behind closed doors. The digital room is still, the echoes of the meeting fading, but the impact lasting. The weight of years of exclusion and silence now gives way to a fragile hope. A junior assistant exhales softly, the tension breaking as she closes her laptop. The staff begins to stir, the first signs of change visible and tentative smiles and exchanged glances. Conversations start to bubble quietly, cautious, but filled with new energy and a sense of possibility. Marcus leans back in his chair, the burden of leadership balanced by a quiet hope. His eyes scan the empty grid, the faces that once held power now gone. The reckoning is over, but the work has just begun. The camera lingers on the darkened screen, the promise of a new era glowing softly. In the darkness, the final image is one of calm determination, a silent vow that justice will be sustained and progress will continue. The room remains still, the weight of change settling like dust. Outside, the first light of dawn breaks, casting long shadows that retreat before the promise of a new day. Marcus's quiet vow echoes in the silence, a commitment to justice, to dignity, to a future rewritten. Linda sits in a corner booth, the coffee in front of her, untouched and growing cold. The cafe is busy, but she feels isolated, invisible in a way she's never known. Her phone buzzes with news alerts, her name in headlines, her downfall dissected by strangers. Each notification is a fresh sting, a reminder of how quickly power can vanish. She scrolls through angry emails and social media posts, her hands shaking. Former colleagues enter the cafe, spot her, and quickly look away. Their conversations hush when she's near, their eyes sliding past her as if she's no longer part of their world. Linda's shoulders hunch, her presence shrinking with every sidelong glance. A barista approaches, polite but distant. "Would you like a refill?" he asks, not meeting her gaze. Linda shakes her head, voice barely audible. "No, thank you." The barista leaves without another word, his indifference sharper than any insult. Across the room, a group of executives she once led laugh together, their camaraderie now closed to her. One of them glances her way, then turns his back, shielding the group from her presence. Linda's fingers curl around the coffee cup, seeking warmth she can't find. She opens her email again, rereading a message from a board member. "We have to move on. Please don't contact us further." The words land with finality, severing the last ties to her old life. She closes her eyes, the noise of the cafe fading into a dull roar. A young woman at a nearby table recognizes her, whispers to a friend, and they both turn away. Linda's world has shrunk to the small circle of her table, the cold coffee, and the relentless buzz of headlines she can't escape. She sits in the crowded cafe, utterly alone, the weight of regret pressing down. The power she once wielded is gone, replaced by a quiet exile and a future that feels both uncertain and deserved. Linda walks down the familiar neighborhood street, each step slower than before. The sun casts long shadows, the air thick with unspoken judgment. Neighbors who once greeted her now cross to the other side, their eyes avoiding contact. A child tugs at her mother's sleeve, whispering questions she cannot answer. The silence is louder than any accusation, a quiet verdict delivered without words. She pauses at a mailbox, fingers brushing the chipped paint, memories flooding back. The street, once a place of warmth and community, now feels cold and distant. A neighbor on a porch folds his arms, gaze fixed on a distant tree, exchanging a glance with another silent agreement in shared disappointment. Linda's breath catches as she reaches her front steps. The doorframe, once a symbol of security, now looms like a barrier. She hesitates, then steps back, swallowed by the long shadows stretching across the cracked pavement. The neighborhood's verdict is clear: exclusion without confrontation, a slow unraveling of respect and belonging. The camera lingers on the empty crosswalk, a stark symbol of the divide that words can no longer bridge. The street holds its breath, the weight of history pressing down as Linda's figure fades into the distance, swallowed by the quiet judgment of a transformed community. But the story is not just about loss. It is about the quiet power of collective memory and the slow, steady reclaiming of dignity by those once silenced. The neighbors turning away is a statement. But it also marks a shifted community, no longer willing to accept the old ways. As Linda's footsteps echo on the cracked pavement, the weight of her past actions presses down, but so does the promise of change. The street, once divided, now holds the potential for healing. If only the walls of silence can be broken. The sun dips lower, casting a golden hue that softens the harsh edges of the neighborhood. A child's laughter rings out from a nearby yard, a reminder that life continues, and with it, the chance for new beginnings. Linda's figure grows smaller, swallowed by the dusk, a symbol of an era ending and another quietly beginning. Marcus steps through the building's glass doors, greeted by a wave of genuine smiles and nods from staff and new hires alike. The lobby, once stiff with tension, now feels lighter. The atmosphere transformed by his quiet example. A receptionist offers him a firm handshake, her eyes bright with respect. "Good morning, Dr. Ellington," she says, voice warm and sincere. Moves through the office, exchanging greetings with colleagues who once barely acknowledged him. Each interaction is different, no longer perfunctory, but filled with gratitude and recognition. A young analyst pauses at her desk, meeting his gaze. "Thank you," she says softly, her words carrying the weight of all those who finally feel seen. A senior manager, once aloof, approaches with a hesitant smile. "If you have a moment, I'd like your thoughts on a new project." Marcus nods, listening intently, his presence inviting collaboration rather than command. The change is palpable. Conversations flow more freely. Laughter bubbles up in corners where there was once only whispered complaint. A maintenance worker gives Marcus a thumbs up as he passes, pride clear in his stance. The janitorial staff, once overlooked, now walk with heads held high, their contributions acknowledged in ways both small and significant. Marcus stops too. Chat with a group in the break room, his tone easy and inclusive. "How's everyone settling in?" he asks, genuinely interested. The responses are honest, the atmosphere open that the office now hums with possibility. The barriers that once divided are replaced by a sense of shared purpose. Marcus's leadership is felt not in grand gestures, but in the daily respect he shows. Receives each handshake, each nod is a quiet affirmation that dignity is earned through action, not demanded by title, as he heads to his office. A new intern greets him with a smile, her voice steady. "I'm glad you're here." Marcus returns the smile, knowing the real work of change has only just begun. The building, once heavy with secrets, now feels alive with hope and mutual respect. The boardroom, once a symbol of exclusion and rigid hierarchy, now pulses with new life. Sunlight streams through the windows, illuminating a table surrounded by leaders of every background: Black, Asian, Latino, white, young and old, women and men. The air is charged with possibility. The old tension replaced by genuine collaboration. A young woman in a bright blue blazer presents an idea, her voice confident. Marcus listens attentively, nodding encouragement. Across the table, a senior Latino executive adds his perspective, building on her vision. Laughter ripples as a former intern, now promoted, cracks a joke that lands easily. No forced smiles, only real camaraderie. A middle-aged board member, once resistant to change, leans forward, asking questions with genuine curiosity. The conversation flows, ideas bouncing from one person to the next, each contribution valued. The old guard's dominance has faded, replaced by a new energy that welcomes every voice. Marcus speaks less, choosing instead to listen, his leadership evident in the way he draws out quieter members. "What do you think?" he asks a young analyst at the end of the table. She hesitates, then offers her thoughts. The group listens, and her idea sparks a lively discussion, her confidence growing with every word. The walls, once lined with portraits of a single type of leader, now display photographs from recent community events, children reading, families gathered, employees volunteering together. The boardroom feels open, alive, and deeply connected to the world outside its doors. A maintenance worker enters quietly to refill the water pitcher. This time, the conversation pauses as board members thank him by name. He grins, surprised but pleased, and leaves with a spring in his step. As the meeting wraps up, Marcus looks around the table, pride and hope shining in his eyes. The boardroom has become a place where everyone belongs, where dignity is not just spoken of, but practiced, and where the future is shaped by many hands working together. Cameras flash as the new leadership team stands shoulder to shoulder at the front of a crowded press room. Marcus steps to the podium, his expression open, voice steady. "We failed," he begins, the words landing with a weight that hushes the room. "For too long, we ignored voices that deserved to be heard. We let exclusion and bias take root. We are sorry." Reporters scribble notes, some skeptical, others hopeful. A woman in the front row raises her hand. "How will you make this right?" Marcus meets her gaze, not flinching. "We're not here to erase the past with words. We're here to build something better, together. Our apology is only the beginning." Beside him, a young board member nods, her voice quiet but clear. "We're changing how we hire, how we listen, how we lead. We're investing in people who reflect our world, not just our comfort." A former intern, now promoted, steps forward. "I stayed because I saw change was possible. I'm standing here because someone finally listened." Her words ripple through the crowd, a reminder that progress is real, even if it's slow. The company's wounds are visible. Reporters, questions are pointed, and some in the audience cross their arms, unconvinced. Marcus doesn't shy away from their doubt. "We know trust has to be earned. We invite you to hold us accountable." As the press conference ends, the leadership team lingers, speaking with employees and community members. There are no easy answers, no quick fixes, but there is a sense of resolve. The apology cannot undo the harm, but it marks a turning point. Public promise to do better, to listen, to rebuild. Outside, the company's sign catches the afternoon sun. The building is the same, but the spirit inside is changing. The apology is not a cure, but it is a beginning, and for the first time. The future feels open. Employees gather in a bright conference room, chairs arranged in a welcoming circle instead of rigid rows. The facilitator stands at the front, her voice calm and inviting. "This will be uncomfortable, but necessary," she says, setting the tone for what's to come. Some staff shift in their seats, anxious, while others nod, eager to begin. Marcus sits among them, not apart, his presence a quiet reassurance. He listens as the facilitator asks everyone to share a moment when they felt excluded or misunderstood. A young analyst hesitates, then speaks up. "I stopped offering ideas in meetings because they were always dismissed." Her admission is met with nods of recognition and a few murmurs of regret. A senior manager, usually reserved, clears his throat. "I never realized how much I relied on the same voices. I see it now." The group falls silent, the weight of his words settling. Over them, the facilitator encourages honest reflection, guiding the conversation gently but firmly. The session continues with role-playing exercises and open discussions. Some participants stumble, their discomfort showing as they confront biases they didn't know they had. Others are candid, admitting mistakes and expressing a desire to learn. The room fills with awkward pauses and tentative laughter, but also with a sense of shared purpose. Marcus shares a story of his own, describing a time he felt invisible, despite his title. His vulnerability shifts the mood, making it safe for others to be honest. The session ends with a promise to keep listening, to keep learning, and to hold each other accountable. As people file out, the atmosphere is lighter. Conversations linger. In the hallway, colleagues exchanging ideas and encouragement. The work ahead is daunting, but for the first time, it feels possible. The company's culture is changing, not through grand gestures, but through daily acts of courage and humility. The promise to do better is no longer just words, it's a commitment lived out, one conversation at a time. Late at night, Marcus stands by his office window, the city's lights flickering far below. The building is quiet, emptied of the day's tension and noise. He watches headlights snake through the streets, each one a small beacon against the darkness. The reflection in the glass shows a man changed, not just a leader, but a listener, a builder of trust where suspicion once reigned. He thinks about the journey every slight, every moment of being passed over, every time he had to prove his worth twice over. The memories are sharp, but no longer bitter. They serve as reminders of how far he and the company have come. He recalls the faces in the training session, the awkward confessions, the honest apologies, the laughter that finally felt real. A photo on his desk catches his eye. The new board, diverse and smiling. He remembers the first meeting, the nervous energy, the hope that filled the room. Now that hope feels earned. Marcus allows himself a small smile, pride warming the edges. Of his exhaustion, he whispers to the empty room. Change doesn't roar. It whispers in every action we refuse to ignore. The words settle in the air, a quiet mantra. He knows the work isn't finished. There will be setbacks, resistance, and days when progress feels invisible. But there will also be steady and lasting. Marcus turns off the lamp, the office bathed in the soft glow of the city. He steps into the hallway, passing the open doors of colleagues who now greet him with respect. The company feels different, lighter, more honest, and open to everyone as he leaves for the night. Marcus carries with him the weight of responsibility and the hope of new beginnings. Change, he knows, is found in the quietest moments, in the choices made when no one is watching. And tonight, for the first time in a long time, he feels at peace with what's been built and what's still to come. The office doors swing open, sunlight flooding the lobby with a warm glow. Laughter and conversation ripple through the halls, a stark contrast to the silence that once filled these spaces. Marcus greets a new intern with a firm handshake and a genuine smile, the gesture simple but profound. "Welcome aboard," he says, his voice steady and inviting. The atmosphere hums with energy and possibility. Employees move with purpose, their faces bright with hope and determination. The barriers that once divided the staff have crumbled, replaced by a culture of respect and inclusion. Conversations flow freely, ideas shared openly, and collaboration thrives. A group gathers around a conference table, brainstorming with enthusiasm. Diverse voices rise and fall, each perspective valued and heard. Marcus listens attentively, nodding encouragement, his presence a steady anchor in the sea of change. The office, once heavy with secrets and exclusion, now breathes with new life. In the break room, a maintenance worker smiles as a board member thanks him by name. The simple acknowledgement speaks volumes, a testament to the transformed culture. Nearby, a young analyst shares a laugh with colleagues, her confidence blossoming in this supportive environment. Marcus pauses by a window, watching the city skyline bathed in afternoon light. His expression is calm, hopeful. The journey has been long and arduous, but the foundation laid is strong. Justice is no longer a distant dream, but a living reality. Built on daily acts of courage and dignity, the camera lingers on the open doors, the vibrant office, and Marcus's quiet smile. The story closes on a note of renewal and promise, a future rewritten with intention and care. But the transformation is not without its challenges. A senior executive hesitates before joining a meeting, the weight of past mistakes heavy on his shoulders. He exchanges a brief, uncertain glance with a new colleague, signaling the slow but steady shift in culture. Elsewhere, a receptionist pauses, her fingers lingering on a stack of files. She takes a deep breath, then offers a small, genuine smile. To a passing employee, a subtle sign of changing attitudes, Marcus's leadership is felt in these quiet moments, the unspoken acknowledgments that signal progress beyond words. The office is alive, not just with activity, but with the promise of a better tomorrow, built on respect, inclusion, and shared purpose. The story closes with the sun setting behind the city skyline, casting long shadows that retreat before the light of change. Marcus's smile remains a beacon of hope and the enduring power of quiet transformation.